Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Haven't had time and to sleep on the debacle that was yesterday's AGM. Celtic are now in full-on civil war mode with the fans. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I'll try and get as many as we can on this morning. There's been some bad news when it comes to players. Bad news concerning Cameron Carter-Vickers. Is Cameron Carter-Vickers' time at Celtic about to come to an end? Because let's face it, there hasn't been a season that Cameron Carter-Vickers has not been injured since he came to Celtic. And Celtic really need to get a defender in the next window. I just feel, this morning I've woke up feeling that the club, if we win anything this season, it will be a miracle. It will be against all odds. Because everyone in Scottish football wants us to have a complete meltdown of all meltdowns. We seem to be handing it to them on a plate. The board, I have no words for the board. The board have went down a rabbit hole that I never thought they would do. The statement yesterday by Dermot Desmond's son. There's so many questions that need answered, and now we don't have the opportunity to have them answered by the board. That was the one opportunity. Did the fans play into the board and the way that it turned out? Was it a big game to the board yesterday? Michael Nicholson is just an absolute idiot of a man. Peter Lawwell, noticing the Green Brigade that were in-house, said that, there's a lot of people here that never usually come to AGMs. He knew straight from the start. He knew the 900 odd attendees' names. He would have went through the list, and the security would have went through the list, and they would have said, look, there's a load of Green Brigades coming into the meeting. They would have checked past previous rosters. This isn't the Green Brigade's fault. The board have caused this. The board went in full-on attack. Now, one question that has to be asked, was that statement by Ross Dermott? Was that statement by Ross put out there this morning? Was that statement pre-written? Or was that statement written in the half hour where Peter Lawwell took them out the room? That's the big question that needs answered from Celtic. Was that statement already written? Were they already going in for the kill with that statement from Dermot Desmond's son? Or was that a reactionary statement to end the meeting? Because the board would have known that it was about to descend into complete chaos. If we drop points tonight, the pandemonium of a drop, it's not about just dropping points tonight. It's about it's a fight. I'm not going to say it's a fight to survival, because I had a lot of thinking last night whilst thinking about back to the 1990s. And I wonder how the Kellys and Whites reacted in-house to the mayhem that was outside Celtic Park. And the chaos that was outside Celtic Park on a daily basis. And the impending pressure that came from the bank at the time. We all know that it was the Rangers connection that David Murray putting pressure on his mates at the Bank of Scotland that were ultimately putting the pressure on Celtic. They wanted to end Celtic as an entity. It didn't happen. This is nothing like that. It's weird. There's lots of questions that I've seen coming up on the comments. I just think that we seem to be sleepwalking into an era of can we seriously return from it? Can we return to the glory days of, being a single unit? The thing is, we've never really been a single unit for a long time. we've always had issues with the board, but it's went to DEFCON 1, isn't it? It's off the scale stuff. And whilst there has to be changes at the club, somehow I don't see where I said before the AGM, I said that you back this board into a corner and they will come out fighting like we've never seen it before. They're fighting for their £1 million salaries, Michael Nicholson. Chris Mackay's fighting for his £500,000 salary. Is that too much for a club like Celtic that's all meant to be about giving to charity? And yes, the business does need to be run like a business. I get what Ross Dermott says, but to talk down to the fan base the way that the Celtic supporters were yesterday, from a man who is never at Celtic Park, from a man who only owns 34% of the shareholding, was an unbelievable. I don't think that the Whites and Kellys even went down that road. And it now comes to the point as where and how does this all stop? Martin O'Neill's comments yesterday saying that it was a sad day for Celtic Football Club. Many fans will say it was a sad day for Celtic Football Club because it was the day that the fans lost the club. The fans no longer have an influence on anything to do with Celtic. Chris says, I suspect the statement was in response to the disgraceful disruption of the AGM. There are legal protocols for meetings and the disruptors broke them. Yes, and I said that during the meeting, and I thought, and it was interesting that it was the person that pretty much has run the Celtic Trust for the best part of 20 years that was the one to start the ruckus. I'm not taking sides with it. I think that we need change at boardroom level, but there's ways and means that you can go around it. And I think that yesterday was it was complete chaos. And we walked into the board's hands. You give them a free rein to just close down the meeting. And I thought it was a shite bag way out for the board. Was it a pre-written? It was written on a bit of paper. Do you know, it was like a statement. The fact that he was shaking when he was reading it, I don't think he was prepared for the statement. I don't think that he was prepared to even make a statement. It was as if it was hurried and put together, reactionary. Celtic, I've always said that Celtic are reactionary. There is no forward planning. I don't think that if that statement was forward planned, if that statement was always going to go out during the AGM, there are bigger issues in the club than we realise. Because yes, people are saying we're being run by a dictator. It's some state of affairs to get into, and you know, even during, we've laughed at the meltdown over the years since 2012. Even over the years, from 2012 onwards, even when they set up a tent in the middle of the pitch so that people couldn't get anywhere near them, they never went into complete chaos at an AGM. The fact that Dermot Denison didn't show face yesterday demonstrates his arrogance of what he thinks of the fans. There are many big shareholders that don't go to the AGMs. There are shareholders that, you know, have millions of pounds in Celtic that do not attend AGMs. The cash flow is planned. The board showed their true selves yesterday. Yeah, it is. The day the music died, yeah. Yeah, we should play. Because freedom of speech at Celtic Park. Let the people sing their stories and their songs and the music of their native land. The lullabies and battle cries and songs of hopes and joy. Join us hand in hand. Celtic play that at Celtic Park. If Celtic ever play that again, what an absolute friggin' embarrassment. You know, it was unbelievable. Chris says, P.S. he wants major change, but this isn't the way to do it. of protest tonight. I can see the SPFL clamping down hard on Celtic. Well, the one thing that is for sure is Celtic made a statement, as Celtic do. We'll go to the first statement that they made through the Celtic website, which got a lot of, as you could expect. Cheers, Danny. I'll get to that in a minute or so. Is it this one? We'll go through. Just need to reduce this slightly. Or. We'll go with that side. That's a lot better. Right, here's the from the AGM. One of the first statements that was put out by the club yesterday. The club regrets to note that its usual. They should have put. The club regrets to note that its annual general meeting required to be called to a close early yesterday. The meeting was attended by 907 people. That's quite a lot of people. That's more than normal. Their opening remarks, approximately 40, organised by the Celtic Trust and the Green Brigade, caused a substantial disruption at the AGM. Notice that they point out the Celtic Trust and the Green Brigade. I did think it was a bit strange that they went in with their Green Brigade attire on, their coats and everything, but the meeting was initially adjourned to allow order to be restored so it could continue, with Peter Lawwell, the chairman, explaining the need for order and respect to fellow shareholders. Once the meeting reconvened, the chairman gave several warnings that the meeting would be called to a close if there was continued disruption. Unfortunately, the disruption continued, and Peter Lawwell was forced to call a poll on the resolutions so that the formal business could be dealt with, and the meeting was brought to an end. I don't think anyone actually heard what the poll was because of the disruption at that point. The poll will remain open on the Celtic website through the investor relations, that people that have shares can vote on everything that's going on. We share the frustrations of a great majority of shareholders in the room. The action of a small minority at the meeting prevented shareholders from having an opportunity to participate in question and answer session. Now, the people that were causing the disruption wanted the videos to stop. They wanted the votes to not go ahead. They wanted to go straight into question and answering. It's never been run like that in the life of Celtic Football Club. The AGM, every single AGM runs the exact same way. Yes, you could say that the fans that demonstrated and made the noise played right into the board's hand yesterday. It's not an ideal situation. We now get no answers. We now have no idea when the next manager comes in. We have no idea if there's going to be changes in transfer policy. We have no idea about anything. And we will not get answers now. The board will go away into their bunker and they will stay there for the foreseeable future to fight this war out. Because that's what it is. It's civil war at Celtic, whether we like it or not. And it's... When you think of the highs, and I still think if we win the league this year, Jesus God, it will be the turnaround of all turnarounds. This will be turnaround of 20. I mean, I know that they went bust and they got deducted points in 2020, which kind of helped Celtic, but in 2012. But I just think that I wonder if, in hindsight, the people that caused the ruckus at the beginning, if there's any regret that they could have done it a different way slightly, to still have the protest. Because I think, coming out and saying, there's nothing to say that we couldn't change the agenda. Well, the board have got their agenda and they'll stick to it. It's not a fucking... The Celtic board and the AGM is not a party political broadcast statement for a left-wing party. And it kind of descended into that yesterday. It descended into, a complete them and us scenario with no leadership on either side. And Martin O'Neill said, and one of the things that interested me with Martin O'Neill, he wished I think he was that stunned by what was going on. I think the Celtic board have got a lot to answer for, because they never prepared Martin O'Neill for the impending colossal stramash that took place. And I think, and Martin O'Neill said that he wished he had said something. If you had a football manager in place that was in control of the club, he could have been Martin O'Neill yesterday could have been the go-between between the fans and the board. But I think within 5 minutes of the, not even 5 minutes, within 10 seconds of the meeting opening, I think that both sides had, and I don't know if it was everyone in the room. I don't think that, was it 90% of people that were booing? Was it 90% of people that put up red cards? Was it, people that walked out? It's just, there's still so many unanswered questions from yesterday that I think that tonight's game will be one of the most toxic atmospheres at a Celtic game for a very, very, very long time. And I just think that, if we get anything from the game tonight, and Martin O'Neill and the backroom staff will have done a tremendous job. The fact that Cameron Carter-Vickers is now out until April, at the earliest, his season is done. Is Cameron Carter's career over at Celtic? That should be the bigger question that we're talking about this morning. There's so many things that we should be talking about and not enough time. I could spend all day being live on this platform talking about stuff about Celtic that we still wouldn't come to a full agreement. You could do poll after poll, and you can guarantee that the polls would be all over the place about the way forward for the club. As the dust settles, and as we finish our coffee this morning, there was another statement by Celtic. That was put out a couple of minutes earlier. And this is an interesting one. This gives you an insight into what will happen next when it comes to the Green Brigade. Now, I have said that when they went into the game, drums and all, against the ban, that would only increase the ban. It's the way that Celtic work. You can read them like a book, and it's been done before. The club recently communicated with supporters regarding action taken following a serious incident against a match against Falkirk in October 29. We also reported that the club has been called to attend a meeting of Glasgow City Council's Safety Advisory Group to discuss recent supporter behaviour. Following the instigation of the incident at Falkirk match, which was involved around about 100 members of the Green Brigade, the club took action by applying a suspension of the group for 3 home matches and 3 away matches. Now, that suspension comes from last season. They were told about it at the beginning of this season. They knew that the suspension was there. It's one of many suspensions that Celtic have hanging over them. Now, remember, there is a UEFA suspension for pyro. If Celtic let any pyro off home or away, there will be fan bans coming in. As well as informing the group, the club wrote to our season ticket holders and published a statement for all supporters and a video relevant to the incident. Well, we're just going about that. Many Green Brigade members ignored the suspension and attended the home match against Kilmarnock on the 9th of November, having obtained season tickets for other parts of the stadium and then accessing 111. Now, there comes the issue that I have straight away with the club. The club allowed them to enter 111 without tickets for 111. Why were they allowed to enter into the Green Brigade section when they didn't have tickets for the section? Do you know, if you're going to play that game, Celtic, you need to answer why they were allowed into the section, because nobody else, you know, the stewards stopping people getting into them, and this is what's caused the issue, but they've allowed them. It's a case of give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves type scenario, isn't it? The club has been in correspondence with the Green Brigade explaining the club's serious concerns regarding their conduct. We sought confirmation that the group will comply with the suspension and, critically, the safety management regulations that supporters are required to respect and of which, of course, the club is legally obliged to enforce. The Green Brigade has not provided this information. I said this would happen. The bottom half of 111 will be closed down altogether. The club provided another update to its supporters on the 18th of November, explaining these concerns and highlighted its legal obligations with regard to the safety of supporters and everyone working at Celtic Park. The Celtic Fans Collective released a statement on the 19th of November saying that it represents a number of supporters' organisations, including the Green Brigade, and it suggests that dialogue between the Green Brigade and the club, as well as other steps. However, this has been made extremely difficult due to recent developments, particularly by threatening behaviour towards members of Celtic staff. Mark Hargreaves is among the Celtic representatives of the club at the Glasgow City Council Safety Advisory Group meeting shortly before. It stated at 2:30. It started at 2:30. The Northcroft Celtic social media account connected to the Green Brigade posted on social media an entirely false allegation. And there goes the allegation. I'm not going to read it because it's a fucking huge statement. We've all seen what happened. The Green Brigade put out a picture of him in his civvies and in his uniform. As a result, the club is not in a position to address the safety advisory group process and the future management of these issues, including interaction with the Green Brigade group. It is necessary to correct any suggestion that Mark Hargreaves or the club is coordinating a campaign in conjunction with the police to target Celtic fans and their families. Michael Nicholson, Chief Executive, said that these posts are scandalous. They are designed to intimidate one of our colleagues carrying out his duty on behalf of the club and to intimidate the club. Mark was subject of further threats and intimidation at the club's AGM this morning. Nobody at Celtic should face a bullying, threatening or an intimidation. Tell me your thoughts on that one. Mark's role at Celtic is to keep his colleagues, including players, safe and the club facilities safe and secure at Celtic Park on match day. His role is to ensure the safety of all Celtic fans. He's here to do so they can enjoy the football. Mark is a lifelong Celtic fan with success over a 25-year career in the police. We are delighted that Mark joined Celtic Football Club. We are lucky to have him here. The club cannot and will not accept the bullying and to have a faceless internet account make these allegations attacking professional reputation of someone who's doing their best to ensure the safety of Celtic supporters and colleagues is cowardly and unacceptable. The management of the rail seating section is motivated only by safety of those in the section and the stadium, nothing else. This is the club's responsibility. The club will provide further update when possible. Let's get some comments up here. The Celtic Collective need to make themselves the mouthpiece for all fans now. The club will run them ragged. The Celtic Collective, it will be interesting. They do have a meeting, and I will be joining that meeting online. I think it's on Monday or Tuesday. I think it is. It's Tuesday, the meeting. So it will be interesting to see what is said at that meeting. Because there's been a precedent set now, isn't there? That Celtic are basically going for the kill with everything and anybody to do with the club. It's a weird time that we live in. Because after the AGM yesterday, If the AGM had went to perfect, we all come out all good, we all got answers, we're all saying yes, we're going forward as a one. We should have been laughing this morning. We should have been in complete hysterics that once again Rangers have made a £14.8 million loss in the last set of accounts. Despite having a record turnover of 94 million, they made a 14.8 million loss. That club has never made a profit since its inception in 2012. Yet it keeps going on year after year, loss after loss. Changing board, changing managers. Celtic are not going to make a loss, but the profits are going to be well down this year. And I'm not saying this as a thing to back the board. It's nothing to do with backing the board. It's about the safety of the club going forward and club having the finances. Because if this situation is allowed to carry on by the Celtic board, if this situation is allowed to carry on that takes the club further into a civil war, it will affect the finances of the club. There was another big shareholder sell-off yesterday. A private load of shares sold again. There's been over £1.5 million worth of shares traded hands privately in Celtic in the last week. Who's buying the shares? Who's spending £1.5 million to invest in the club? Is it someone that is potentially buying them up to try and make changes at boardroom level? Or is it Dermot Desmond and his son buying up the shares to make sure that they keep control? Mo, you hit it on one. It's destruction from within. And I never thought, when we went on the run to 9 in a row, under Ronnie Dyler, I spoke at that time about, managed decline, and we kept on winning the league. And all that mattered is we kept on winning the league. For this board to say that, look, we've all known the stance of Peter Lawwell. We all know the stance of Peter Lawwell, that Peter Lawwell, for over 20 years, has stood up at AGM. He slagged off Rangers. He said the most important thing is to win the league, and Europe's a bonus. Now, that's basically the same as what Daddy's little soldier said yesterday. But it's where do we go from here? How do we get over this? Let's jump into the comments. Probably Dermot consolidating his control. I wonder if we could try and get No, I won't say it out loud because somebody else will jump on it before me. There we go. The board are doing a brilliant job. All this has been deflected to them by the failure of Rodgers. They backed him. They gave him more money than any other manager in our history. He failed, not them. Do you really believe that? Considering Brendan... So when Brendan Rodgers allowed Kyogo Furuhashi to be sold and the board didn't get in a replacement, is that Brendan Rodgers' fault or is it the board's fault? When we didn't get in the replacements that we needed during the summer, when Brendan Rodgers said during the summer we're low on numbers, we need numbers in, the board didn't get numbers in. Yes, it's since came out that he allowed Adam Ida to go. I have no idea why. He's a 29 goal scoring machine at Celtic with very limited time. He might have not been the answer at Celtic, but right now we're lacking in numbers something unbelievably. And I think that the board admitted yesterday, and they've admitted many times, but the board of Martin O'Neill said, how many times can you come out and apologise for mistakes that's been made? Martin O'Neill said the board have admitted they've made mistakes. So I think that you're a little bit off by saying that it wasn't the board. They've admitted they have made mistakes. So agreed, we would all laugh at Newco years ago, but for some of it it's cringe when you see history repeating itself in a different colour. I don't think that we're going to go down. If we do, if we have a financial implosion at Celtic, Hearts will take over, and Hearts have got I tell you one thing, if you're a Hearts fan just now, you've got a free run at the league this year. You've got a free run at the league. If you're Derek McInnes and your Hearts... Great. Get up, it's the door. Ginny! It's a delivery. Don't know what's getting delivered. It's AGM. There we go. That's what happens when you're near the front door of the house. Yeah, I think that talking about Cameron Carter-Vickers, changing the subject a bit, I think changing Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's done at Celtic. Celtic need to go out and get in a defender. You alright there? Trying not to get seen on camera. I think your arse just went on the screen. And your jammies. My Harry Potter jammies. Ah, your Harry Potter jammies on. Glad you're awake though. Right, let's jump into some of these comments. It's a criminal matter. Now that the doors have went in, this mob shouldn't even be talking about it. Incident is proven until guilty. I think that they're only replying to... I'm not backing Celtic about this, but I think they're talking about it because the fans group has publicly outed members of staff at Celtic. That's the only reason. That is the only reason that they have said it. And the fact that if he was intimidated against, if he was subject to verbal abuse, that you're not allowed to do that. Do you know what I mean? You could say that. I mean, could you imagine somebody coming into your work and fucking just going apeshit at you, and you're like, "What the fuck? I'm at work. Fuck off." Do you know? And this isn't a back in the board thing. This is just a bit of fucking common sense, and I think that that's what's lacking on both sides. A fucking big bit of common sense is missing on both sides. It's unbelievable. Do you know? See if it was back in the 80s, you would just fucking get their heads and ram their heads together and say, "Fucking sort it out." You would. Fucking give them all a scalp. Border Tories don't belong at Parkhead. One of them's Labour, but it doesn't matter. I want to know what the heck happened to James Forrest. Got injured on a but as you know, Desmond, you may want more shares than people think already. His overseas companies are independent, but they may be his. Yes. Michelle, clear the Hun if there's a Hun on the chat, please. I remember half-empty ground with a big banner covering the seats in A1, a club like no other. It's going down that. Yeah, that was under Ronnie. That was under Ronnie Dyler. That was on the top tier, remember? And that's when people didn't fancy Ronnie Dyler as manager. People turned away. Is it going to take people turning away and giving up their season tickets? People don't want to give up their season tickets now. That's the thing. It was easier to give up a season ticket away back then because it was easier to get a season ticket. There wasn't an alleged 10,000 waiting list. So when Ronnie Dyler came in after Neil Lennon, people didn't fancy him as a manager. So people didn't buy. They thought it was Celtic going down the cheap road. Be prepared for Celtic going down the cheap road for the next 2 or 3 years. And this is what everyone needs to understand. The finances that we've got at the club at the moment, it's not an endless money pit. From a business point of view, our turnover is going to be down 40 million this year. Guaranteed. When we sit at the AGM in a year's time, in fact, we won't even wait to the AGM, we'll wait till the financial results are brought out in, I think it's usually about August or something, August, September. When the financial results are released next year, we will be 30 to 40 million down. on what we were this year because of not getting into the Champions League. If we do not get into the Champions League next year, we'll be another 30 to 40 million down on what we could have been at. That is then going to mean that we're going to be buying. I mean, for everyone saying we need better players, we need to give Dais Maida wage rise. We pay out 74 million or something in wages for the whole club. That's not consistent. That can't continue. That's the reality. That's not sticking up for the board. And you give any accountant Celtic's books that's been released and then show them the projected income for not being in the Champions League, they will tell you that wages will have to take a hit. Wages are the biggest part of the spending in the company. Wages will have to take a hit. Lawwell and Co aren't going to take a hit. It means that we're going to go out and buy cheaper players, cheaper wages, and we're going to go through the whole process again. And this is why people are complaining and wanting change at the club. But it doesn't matter who's running the club. You could get a Fergus McCann come into the club tomorrow and say, I'll buy up all the shares. He's not going to do that because the money now involved is off the scale. No one person can ever own the club. It's the way that Fergus McCann set it up. I think I'll agree with Martin O'Neill on one thing. It was a sad day for Celtic because it was the day that we actually realised that the people that run the club have no inclination in communicating with the fans on an ongoing basis. They see themselves as fit and capable to run the club. Fans see them as not. But at the same time, the fans aren't offering up. And this is the difference between the 1990s and now. In the 1990s, we had an idea. We had people with the money that was prepared to take over the club. Now we don't. And people that are wanting change and being the face of the ones that are wanting change aren't giving us an alternative. And when you go through a process that Celtic are currently going through, if there's no alternative waving their flag and going, I'll do it, it is a very, very troublesome game that we're playing on both sides. Both sides. We need some sort of shareholder rebellion to make it more uncomfortable. Big shout out to Danny. Big shout out to Danny Cassie. Give us a £10 super chat and then give us a £5 super chat and then a £2 super chat. Danny's feeling very, very festive and Christmas this morning. Thank you for that, Danny. Thank you so much. It's always appreciated. I think that you hand out money like that and Celtic will be chatting on your door soon saying they're needing money for transfers. Oh, jeez. I did say Hearts to win the title a few months back and got laughed at. Now fans think the same. I think that if Celtic do win anything, and I mean be it the Cup against St Mirren next month, if we win that with the diminished squad that we have, with people on their last legs, I don't think I have ever seen. This is worse than the COVID season. Players weren't injured during the COVID season. We had a manager that wanted to be at the club. Might not have been the right manager, but we had a manager that wanted to be at the club and that was doing his best. Now we have complete infighting with the board and fans. We have a manager who's joking about the fact that he might still be here in a year and a half's time. Jokingly, of course. We have a stand-in manager that doesn't really want to be here long term either. He was happily retired doing his little gigs on television, slagging everybody else off, criticising tactics. Now he's been forced into the forefront, and I feel sorry for Martin O'Neill. No matter what you think of his statement yesterday, Martin O'Neill doesn't deserve the abuse and the name calling that I've seen online for him. He doesn't deserve it. People talked about the ruining and the tarnishing of his legacy. People who say that the statement yesterday tarnished his legacy. I think that Martin O'Neill was pushed into a corner, and the powers that be at Celtic knew that there was only one person that would face the music yesterday, and that was Martin O'Neill. And for that, the board need fucking sacked for that. For putting Martin O'Neill under that pressure. For putting Martin O'Neill in that position to be the only person to face the media was cowardly of the highest level by our board. Cowardly by the highest level. Putting out faceless statements on Celtic websites. Do you know? Putting out statements that there is no signature to. I mean, the board talk about faceless accounts online. Celtic are putting out statements that aren't signed to anyone. But they're putting Martin O'Neill out there in the firing line. And Martin O'Neill's getting it tight for it. I don't think that Martin O'Neill should be getting it tight, to be honest. I think that Martin O'Neill is in a very, very difficult situation. And he talks from his heart. He doesn't take time to think about what he wants to say. He just comes out and says it. And that's, do you know, that comes with being an old git. Do you know, you just fucking say it. If you don't like it, fucking don't care if you don't fucking like it. I'm just saying it. Do you know, he was asked questions and he answered them. None of Martin O'Neill's answers were pre-written down on a bit of paper. None of them. Everyone telling the board to grow up. God help us, the Green Brigade is problem. Always are. Dog wants to join in, yeah. Yesterday was a wasted opportunity to ask important questions. Yes, well, it was. I was disappointed with the way that the meeting started. Disappointed that yeah, it was just a complete farce. That's all we'll say. From beginning to end. Do you know, I think that the people involved played into the board's hand. I think that the board and I still think that piece of paper, the written statement from his dad, I don't think that was pre-planned. I think that was this club is too reactionary it doesn't forward plan to have such a statement, to have such a dig at the fans so early on in the meeting. And if it was always planned, it shows you that the club's fucked. Fubar. Anyway, Europe is a bonus, is a killer. Doesn't make the club attractive to big names and its foreign stars. The SPSL is what it is, but look at what the Ireland have done with investment in European runs. Yeah, teams in Ireland. I think until yesterday was a day where we should have got answers and we didn't, and that's the most disappointing for me. That is the most. I will not be renewing my season book if this is still going on. I'm not giving these fools any more money, says Michael. That's an interesting one, Michael. I wonder how many people will do the same. I can guarantee you that there's a certain section of fans in 111 will never give up the season books. I'm just going to put that out there. People might fucking be annoyed when I say that, but do you know, they will not give up their season books. So it's commended that you do, because you need to know that, you know, they might call for, and this may happen, there might be a call for a boycott of season books, but you can guarantee that there'll be certain sections within the Celtic Park will not give up their season books no matter what. CCV needs to be moved on. He's an amazing player when he's fully fit, but misses too many games. Yeah, let's get into the CCV talk, because I think that Cameron Carter-Vickers, I think his day's done at Celtic. I think he's missed, for me, over the years, he's missed too many European games. He's been injured at important times of the season. Now that he's got another injury that's going to keep him out, I think that the valuation of him, if we can get $6 million for Cameron Carter-Vickers, and you won't get that next summer. So we are going to have Cameron Carter-Vickers next season. Who would the manager be? I don't know. Who would want to take on the manager's role after yesterday's public stramash? It's a meltdown. It's a Celtic fan meltdown. Let's not try and quote it what it's not. I mean, we've had Rangers fan meltdown. I've done Rangers fans meltdown for about 10 years on this channel, if you go back. And it's been funny. But yesterday, the shoe was on the other foot. Not even another foot, it was on the other side of the fucking river. And I mean, that lot are completely laughing. Everyone in Scottish football's laughing at the complete self-manufactured meltdown at Celtic. And that's what it is. It's a self-manufactured meltdown. The police can't talk about criminal matter until the club, but the club can. Say what they like. The club can talk about the fact that if a member of his staff has been outed in public and intimidated in public, I don't think that they're talking about the alleged assault, Celtic. They're more talking about the fact that a member of the staff has been outed, his picture's been put out in public, he's been intimidated in public, and that's put his family and everything at a place of fear. You can understand why Celtic would come out and say that's not acceptable. I think you're getting your lines crossed. I know that they did mention the incident, and that's all they call it, is an incident. They don't talk about said incident. Chilpel says he's not giving a penny more, including the Paradise windfall. Give them nothing. We're destroying any chance of winning the league this season unless things are sorted out as soon as possible. Martin's going nowhere, says Danny. No wonder we can't get players in. The board need to go. But who do we get in? It's okay saying the board needs to go, but Dermot Desmond would be there, Peter. And that's it's a serious question, because we're now at the position. Fuck the board and sack the board, but who do we get in? We have to offer an alternative, and until we start offering an alternative, it's all just words. And I don't mean that to demean getting the board out. I want the board out, but there's nobody standing like there was. There's no Brian Dempsey and stuff like there was in the 1990s standing outside Celtic Park. There's no businessmen standing outside Celtic Park going, do you know what, I'll put money into it. But there isn't. So sack the board, but bring in who? Because we're at the stage now, we have to start having alternatives. We know we want the board gone, but we have to put alternatives up now. We have to have alternatives that the public, the Celtic fans, can see. Because until then, it's fucking nuts. It's complete fucking nuts. Said about DD Sun was going to be a lot more involved at the club, and boom, it has happened. This is only the start. There's actions, the thug tactics in a workplace. Yeah, I mean, that's, you've got to say, I mean that's a self-destruct button moment from Celtic. There's one thing that you never do as a business, is you never slate your customers. Celtic sees us as customers. The customer's always right, except for if you're Celtic, because the customer's not always right. So where did the club go from here? Because that statement yesterday, I'm all for people being outside Celtic Park this morning. I'm back in a couple of weeks. I'll be outside Celtic Park. I'll video myself outside Celtic Park, and hopefully, you never know, by the time that I get home, there might, I doubt it, but there might be people off the board. But we need to start protesting outside Celtic Park every day. We need to protest outside the supermarket every day. Game days, we need to create a barrier in front of the Celtic Superstore to stop people going in and buying Celtic merchandise. If you don't, it's all just words. Standing up at AGMs and throwing red cards about, it's all just fucking actions that are never going to achieve anything. If you want to achieve a real action, start putting names forward of people that you want to take over the club, that you want to be put in positions of power. I shouted out Martin O'Neill months ago for to take Peter Lawwell's job. People have kind of said yep to that. People are now saying no to it. Who do you want? And that's a serious question. Don't know. We have to have an alternative. If there is no alternative, it's like fucking pushing against the wind, isn't it? Really. We're really going to struggle to get a manager now after the shambles yesterday. I think so. I think that anybody. People stopped going because there was no competition. There was competition. There's always competition. People then got Rangers back, and Rangers were shite. But it's okay, let's laugh at Rangers then, Mo, isn't it? It's one of those ones. There's not going to be any competition for Hearts for the next couple of years. Do you think Hearts fans are going to go, fuck that? They're going to ride the wave. They're going to buy up season tickets like nobody's business. Because that's the serious way it's going. You know, Celtic are now going to be the ones that are not offering real competition because we're not going to get the standard of player in. Ask yourself this: if Celtic had ever started Division 3, would it sell out every week like the Orcs did? Probably not. The most divided support on the planet. Well said, Robert. Well said. CCV time is up. Ronnie was too young for us at the time. Good manager, but the wrong fit at the time. This is true. I loved the Ronnie days. Yeah, it was. I tell you, it was. I mean, I was bus convener at the time, and it was the best days to run buses. It was fantastic. Honestly, it was the best. It was the best. The laughs that we had going to football those years, going to away games, sorting out pubs for away games, going to Hampden. I mean, going to hotels at the wrong end of Hampden because there was no Huns there. I mean, it was a brilliant time, and tickets were easy to get. I know a lot of people that will go, yeah, fair play, right? Don't go. That's even better because all the ones that do spend their money, that for a lot of years that go week in week out, they're probably not going to not take up their season ticket. That's the reality of the situation. Mike Powers is celebrating 15 months worth of membership. What happened to James Forrest? I've not even an idea. Baz, the only one thing, that was our chance to put them on the spot. Yep, it was that. It was the one and only chance, and now a lot of people probably had great questions for the board. Now they're going to get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, that's a failure of the board if we're 40 million down. Yeah, if we're not getting into the Champions League. But you can't. When the merchandise is down from 30 million to 15 million, that's not the point of the board, is it? That's then cutting off your own wrist to just stop yourself wanking. I don't know where we're going here. And seriously, I'm at the stage now where yes, we won't change. Yes, this board are a complete shambles, but there is no alternative out there that's standing up and speaking. And if there is, can they please speak up and speak up quick? Because this is the time that if a Brian Dempsey, if a Fergus McCann was to speak out, if there is anyone like that out there, this is the time to make your move. You know, but I don't think there is, and that is the stark realities. You're joking. Any updates on the management candidates? Everybody's now going, fuck that. I mean, seriously, Martin O'Neill getting it in the neck after yesterday. Who would want to come in as manager at Celtic right now, you're going to end up with Neil Lennon at this rate. Were there any large single shareholders there? I think there was Dermot Desmond, and that was it. If our profits are down, the board should take all bonuses. Get Rocky back from loan. I don't even think that he's answer. If we don't win tonight, I am fearful to say the least. I think that we will win tonight. I'm not confident. I don't even know if I want to do a watch along now. I was going to do a watch along. I think I probably will, but club needs to change. Start at the top, says Robert. But who comes in, Robert? We have to now have the conversation. We know we want change. The conversation needs to change from we want change to this is change. You can't say you want change without offering up an alternative, and this is where we need to get at now. This is the next step. If we're going to up the game and get change at the club, we have to have an alternative. And right now, we do not have an alternative. This isn't a back the board thing. This is a reality check for everyone. Because I think that sometimes my fucking coffee's went cold as well. Fuck's sake. I think today we need to all take a step back, and especially before the ones that are going to the game tonight, because they're going to get tanked up and be going to the game in full fucking swing. And the songbook will be phenomenal tonight. The songbook will be taking us back to the. That's going to be some laugh, I'll tell you that. So yeah, the club needs to change. It needs to start at the top. But who? I'm all for change. I want change. But like I say, we need to get someone. We need someone now to pop their head up and go, yep, it's time. Dermot, take my cash and fuck off. But there's nobody, is there? And this is the issue that we have as a fan base. You know, at least Trump speaks and doesn't send his son. I'm not turning up by not just turning up. The players will suffer. Yeah, this is true. This is true. Definitely a fucked up statement yesterday. All they did is tarnish his legacy. That's why the board brought him back, to take the heat off them. I think that the abuse that Martin O'Neill gets, it's unfair on him. Do you know, he's a 73-year-old man talking his mind. It's like, give him peace. Who in their right mind would want to take over the Celtic manager's job now? Don't know. Lawler should have done a press conference before Martin O'Neill. Yeah, and I don't think Martin O'Neill even spoke on the Celtic TV press conference about the game, really, did he? But anyway, it's a sad state of affairs. Whatever way you look at it, it's a complete. If you think back to when we were on the road to 9 in a row, you would never have thought that Celtic would now be in the position where we're second in the league. We'll be lucky to finish third in the league if things keep going the way they're going. No manager will want to come in. Do we fund Martin O'Neill in the next transfer window to try and bring in players to? But then the next manager that comes in might not fancy the players. What manager is then going to come in and say, well, who bought all the players during the last transfer window? He's not my type of player. He's not my type of player. He can't play the system I want. We're at a fucking shit show. It's... Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. That's 59 minutes and 40 seconds that we have been on air. I will be live an hour and a half before the game tonight when Martin O'Neill picks his team. His team. Is it his team? Of course it's his team. It's and it'll be interesting to see the reaction of fans. With the Celtic star ruled out to the end of the season, when you look at the players that are out injured, Celtic aren't in a good way, both off and on the pitch. Thank you to everyone, the whole 1,750 people that have joined me on this live this morning. Thank you to Danny Cassie for his impressive super chats. First super chat he done was £10, second super chat was £5, and then the third super chat was for £2. Didn't be throwing cash about like that, Danny, because the board might just try and take it off you to buy some players, because they have just what the Celtic do, isn't it? Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, all around the world. And kick-off is 8 o'clock Celtic Park time. Or quarter to, I can't remember. I think it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Celtic Park time. But anyway, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.